Thanks for tuning in to Chats with Your Self-Worth BFF. This is your host, Mikaela Falar, where we are here to skyrocket your self-worth, heal your shit, and take your power back. Welcome to the chat. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Chats with Your Self-Worth BFF. It's your host, Mikaela Falar. I am so excited about today's episode. We are here with my special guest and mentorship student, Trent Williams. We have been working together for, I think, like 3 months now, but I've actually known him and he has been a supporter in all of my business endeavors since like 2019, which is so crazy to think about. And I'm so appreciative of him for just always being, so supportive and always like being interested in what I am sharing in the moment. And when I first started doing what I do now with intuitive energetic healing, he was very interested, very like, I don't know, like this is kind of interesting, like interested, but like also like had his skepticisms, I guess you can say. So that is why I wanted to get him on the podcast and get him kind of sharing his experience that he's had with me. So, welcome, Trent. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and share whatever you would like to share with the pod.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Michaela. First time caller, long time listener of the BFF pod. Yeah, no, Michaela and I go way back despite just recently kind of working together more concretely. So I was one of the OG Arbonne customers back in the day, back in 2019. Yeah, so I mean, a little bit about me. I'm from Miami, Florida. I live here now. I actually spent a decent amount of my life up in the Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia area. Professionally, I work in real estate. I'm a finance professional. I have a construction and engineering background. So super diverse, super kind of all over the place. And personally, I've been married before, I've been divorced before, I've been in long distance relationships, I've been in short distance relationships. And so I think the whole point of this relationship with Michaela has been, hey, like my life has taken tons of twists and turns. I've been to a lot of places. I've seen a lot of things. Um, and I think when Michaela started doing her intuitive readings and becoming more of an intuition coach, that intuitive feeling in myself was like, hey, you should reach out to her. She's a great contact. She's a great connect. She's also a great person. She's a great friend. And so, it's been great. She's helped me a lot, and we can get into that here in a little bit. But yeah, no, excited to be on here, Michaela. I'm always happy to help you out with all your endeavors, and you know, there we are.
You're the best. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to have you on. Okay, so we will just go ahead and lead into, I've got some questions that I have prepped for you. So the first one that I have is, what is the biggest difference when it comes to mindset, how you move through life, that you've noticed since beginning mentorship with me?
Yeah, good question. So I think like right off the rip, what I would say is that, as I kind of alluded to in my intro, my life has been a bit all over the place, not in bad ways, but just, I lived, right? I went to a lot of places,
Hmm.
tried a lot of things. What I didn't do though was I didn't have very good habits and I didn't have very good consistency in the way that I lived my life. What I mean by that was like, I didn't have a routine. I kind of I still do to some extent, but I value novel things, right? Novelty. I didn't value consistency or just being in routine, and I never saw the value in it. So I think one of the biggest differences that Michaela and I have been working on is like focusing on those consistencies and just building foundational level habits that will ultimately benefit you in the long run. So, taking a little bit less of a short-term approach and making it more of a long-term approach. That's been, I would say, one of the first and foremost biggest differences that I've seen. I think another another area about my life is that I'm quite a perfectionist. I tend to beat myself up when I make mistakes. I tend to not want to accept failure. The mama mentality, all that kind of stuff that people talk about. I'm a sports guy, so you hear about that in the sports culture and those kind of circles a lot about winning, prioritizing, and always not failing, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I've kind of learned though with Mikaela is like it's okay to fail. Like you're going to fail in life. It will happen. And so the more important thing is like how do you respond? And so like for me, the two things that I would say is like I've learned to sort of accept that. Like I've accepted the fact that I make mistakes. I don't try to make mistakes. Like certainly nobody tries to make mistakes, but it happens. And then the second thing is like I get over it. Like it's a fail fast mentality where you live and learn, you live and move on, and you don't dwell on it. I used to be a chronic ruminator. I would, just get down on myself so easily for the littlest of mistakes. And I think, working, like I said, working with Mikaela, she's instilled a lot of confidence in me just to say, like, dude, get over it. Like, it's fine. Like, you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna get better, and it doesn't really matter. Like, nobody cares. And so that's the third thing is that like we talked about consistency in my routines, mistakes, embracing the struggle, right? Just understanding that like, chasing happiness and trying to be happy all the time isn't always the end goal. Sometimes you got to actually embrace that journey, embrace the struggle of the journey. And that's where some of that fruit is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So those are some of the big ones I've noticed even just over the last 3 months.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing and for being open
Yeah.
to sharing that with us. I can you give an example of when you say like you struggled with routine, you struggled with consistency, and like can you give an example of how I've like specifically helped you in that area?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see behind me, but right here on my whiteboard, I've got a morning routine that Michaela and I worked out on like, I don't know, maybe our first or second session together. You know,
Straight channeled straight from your higher self.
yeah, exactly. So that guy was like telling Michaela to tell me, hey, dum dum, like you should probably make your bed in the morning. If I tell you that like over the last 4 years that I've lived in Miami, 20% of the time my bed is made in the morning. In the last 3 months, it's probably like 95%. So like just little things like that where, we have, and I can't pinpoint exactly why it was or what it was, but there was just a little bit of a light bulb when Michaela and I started working together to say, hey man, like listen, if you want to get better, you got to start small. And what we started with was, a morning routine. That was literally where one of our first objectives was. So get up in the
Totally.
morning. The first thing that Michaela told me was don't hit snooze. I'm still working on that one, but we're getting better. Um, so don't snooze your alarm. Get out of bed, brush your teeth, wash your face, make your bed. Do all those kind of little things that take 30 seconds out of your morning, 90 seconds out of your morning, 2 minutes, whatever. Have a decent breakfast, go for a walk, and those are the kind of the initial habits that we built and that we just kind of put in place, implemented that we went from there. And so like, I'll tell you like it went from just morning walks to like working out in the mornings. And that was really just me kind of pushing myself. I'm sure she probably thought that I was trying to do too much, but like we're still here and we're still getting after it 3 to 4 days a week, 2 to 3 days a week, whatever it is. But it started small. So like that was where the biggest sort of light bulbs went off was like, hey, let's just do some routines, get it ingrained, get it consistent, and then we'll habit stack from there.
Totally. And you guys, I'm not saying that if you don't make your bed in the morning, you're not going to be successful, but what I did here with Trent was that I channeled intuitively what would be in his best interest to get him closer to his higher self, to that inner, as we like to say between Trent and I, his inner lion. But so like I channeled for him specifically that like starting small and doing these little baby steps, like making your bed, not snoozing the alarm, jumping out of bed and like going to, splash water on your face and brush your teeth and get the little things done, that those all add up to be big things. And I intuitively tested that like just that little win in the morning for him would set his day up for like incredible success. And so that is why that was so beneficial to him in his life, and that's why he's really putting an emphasis on that today. So for question number two, I have, what has been your transformation since working with me? Who you, like, example being like who you were, things you struggled with compared to who you are now, and maybe one thing, let's say one thing that you've overcame, that sticks out to you the most since beginning to work with me.
Yeah, a lot. And I mentioned some of them before already, but the lack of consistency or lack of good habits was definitely a transformation that I've gone through. One that we dug into, which I actually thought was pretty interesting when I initially saw this question, was like a lot of pride and ego. Um,
Mm,
it's pride and ego is kind of tricky. It's difficult, and it's masked by a lot of things, right? So like when I talked about being a perfectionist earlier, that's actually like a bit of an ego thing, right? Like you have an ego that like you're better than anybody else and you're a perfectionist and you think higher of yourself. Not that you think you're better than anybody else, but you have a higher image of yourself than maybe perhaps you are, which tells you that, hey, I'm perfect. I can do this the right way. And that is a pride, like that's too much pride. So like I would say one of the biggest things is letting some of that ego go, and the ripple effect, as we kind of talked about, is like you learn to let go, you learn to accept mistakes, you learn to just kind of trust yourself and not just trust what everybody around you, what society is telling you, what Zeus is telling you to do.
sorry.
Uh, there he is. There he is, King Zeus. So that I would say that's the biggest transformation I've seen is like, and still a work in progress. We're not where we want to be yet, but that's also just a mindset of like, let's always continue to get better. But like in healthy ways, right? Let's not beat ourselves up over mistakes. Let's not beat ourselves up for not being perfect. Let's
And
just
enjoy the journey.
enjoy the journey and get better every day and try to put your best foot forward and all those cliches that we love to talk about.
Exactly. And then, okay, so I know that you spoke a little bit about like your perfectionism, and there was a root cause to your perfectionism. If you feel comfortable with sharing, like the trust aspect in this, and how we were able to work through that trust issue that you've had in your past.
Yeah, no, definitely. Without oversharing too much, like I think I I just it was hard for me to trust people. It is hard for me to trust people, and we're working on it.
Hmm.
Growing up, I came from a very loving family. That was not really the issue, but there was always an underlying expectation that I would follow a certain path, get a certain degree, play on certain sports teams, and that the rebel within was always kind of like wanting to rebel but not able or capable or whatever. So like it just kind of eroded trust from the beginning. I would say that carried over into my adult life, and it it has impacted relationships definitely, for worse, and Mikaela and I have like we spent a lot of time over a couple sessions just digging into what were the specific instances that caused it. And I think we found a majority of them. I think we found most of them. Like I said, it kind of goes back to those initial parenting conversations, examples that I mentioned. And, I think what we have kind of put into place to overcome that or to try and build from that is again like the same sort of principles that Michaela preaches with all the other stuff, like start small. The best example that I can give you, like we shared a laugh or two over this. Like I was at a acupuncture appointment, and as I was checking out, the receptionist was setting my next appointment for the next visit. And like she didn't make any notes. She didn't write anything down. She just like as I walked out said, "Hey, okay, I'll see you on Thursday." She said, "Yep, got it. Sounds good." And I immediately called Michaela and I was like, "She's not gonna remember that. I don't trust she's gonna remember that." And like Michaela walked me back from that and said, "Hey, just put a little faith, just trust people and see what happens." And sure enough, like 30 minutes later, I got a confirmation email. The appointment was set. So, start
Starting
small.
small.
Yeah. But it's also, you know what else? It's also acknowledging, and like it's like upping your awareness, right? Like, so we also worked on that. You know, every time you walk outside or you walk by people outside, you're trusting that they're going to not trip you, they're not going to spit on you, like whatever. Like, but that's kind of it too. Like, if you can start to acknowledge and understand and see where that actually comes in and permeates your life, then you can build off that.
Totally. Like focusing when we say start small, it's like, okay, if for instance, we're talking trust here. So, where in your life can you trust? Like, do you trust people? Like, if somebody is walking into a Starbucks in front of you and they
Yep.
open the door and you're right behind you, like, are they going to hold the door for you or are they going to like slam it in your face? Like, I'm trusting that this person is going to hold the door for me. It's like things like that. And then once you start to clock those little micro moments become bigger moments and you start to become more, just like Trent was saying, aware of the fact that you can trust people and that there are things that people that you can trust with things small and then eventually like being aware of where in your life you are able to trust people on more of the bigger things in your life.
Yeah,
um
exactly.
Amazing. Okay, so question number 3 I have for you is, what if I helped you out with the most? And I know you've said routine a lot, but is there anything
No, yeah, I've got
oh,
I've got two. I've actually got two good ones here too. That
amazing.
I came up with. Um, so the first one that I think is actually my confidence. When I started working with Kayla, I'm always kind of a modest person by nature anyway. And but I'm also the guy who always says sorry when it's really not warranted. Oh, sorry, I
Hmm.
forgot to do that. And working with Michaela, like she reflects back that confidence to you to say like, hey dude, like it's fine. Like you are, you're a boss, like you're the boss. Like you have that level inside of you. You just need to like be confident enough to bring it out. And I think like I've seen a lot of growth just in the way that I operate business, operate relationships, and then like operate personally, right? Like I'm much more confident to go down to the gym. Like I'll tell you guys, like the gym is a weird place, right? Especially if you've never been very often, or if you don't go very often. There's always that underlying like, oh, who's watching me? Who's paying attention to what I'm doing? Nobody's paying attention. Nobody cares. And like but you have to have that confidence, and like you can't get that confidence. For me, it's a little bit of it's a little bit of a self-fulfilling, but like Michaela has brought that out of me a little bit to say, hey, just do whatever you do it with confidence, and like you got this, like you're the man. So that's the first one I would say. Like my confidence just feels better, and it's been a game changer. The second one I would say is definitely like reconnecting more with my faith in the Holy Spirit. So we do talk a lot about spirituality and the intuitions and the higher selves. So like to me, there's a lot of parallels to the religious, the spirituality and faith, and like that's also been a huge game changer for me.
I
I'm
love
more
that.
in yeah, I'm more in tune with like the higher power, God. I don't, what do you call him again? Gus.
Gus, great
Um,
universal source. But you
yeah,
guys, like when I say source or Gus, it's whatever word best resonates with you. So for Trent, it's God, which it's like we all agree that there is something greater than us. Well, not all of us, but most of us agree.
yeah, no, so we don't have to get into that necessarily, but like that to me, that's always been an important part of my life. And what's interesting is like, I came to Michaela with in some pretty low lows, not the lowest I've ever been in my life, but you know, working through the what am I going to do with my life? I'm 36 years old, sort of the midlife crisis era. And just being able to it's less about like, hey Michaela, I need you to tell me what to do, and more about like you need to tell yourself what to do, and I'm going to help you figure out how to do that.
Yes.
And
Oh, I love that you just said that because that's
yeah,
exactly what mentorship is. Like, mentorship isn't, I'm going to give you all the answers that you need to know. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Like, no, I'm going to guide you and help you figure out those answers on your own. And I'm just going to help you see what you're maybe not seeing, or help you, help you identify your blind spots, and help you step into who the fuck you are, like who the fuck you are, period. Like that. And that's, I love that he said confidence too. Like confidence, aka like self-image, like that I am the self-image, self-worth queen. And like that's also something that we like really focused on in mentorship with Trent, so with all my mentorship students. But I've definitely seen such a huge transformation in Trent. And that's why I wanted to have him on today's podcast episode. So sorry, I kind of went on a little tangent there, but go ahead.
yeah, I don't know. But it's totally true. Like, um, yeah, the confidence and self-image is it's inside of you, and I think you know culture today is such that like we're constantly comparing ourselves to other people. We constantly think that somebody's got a better life than us, or somebody's got a cooler toy than us, or whatever.
Hmm.
And it's probably not true, first and foremost. But second of all, it doesn't fucking matter. Because their toys probably got some weird defect that yours doesn't, and that they don't want to share with you. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh. Yes, preach, preach.
So it's tough. Like social media is a tough place to be, and Michaela, that's kind of your business. But at the same time, like it's difficult to like navigate healthy thought patterns and confidence and self-image when you're constantly seeing other things. And like that, I think as a society we're starting to see that maybe perhaps, but maybe not. I don't know. Save that for
Totally.
save that for the next pod.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, no, for real. That could be a whole
Yeah, we gotta.
episode in itself. Okay. Number four, what would you say to someone who really wants to work with me, but is making money the excuse?
Um, I would say it's not a tremendous commitment. First and foremost, like as an adult, as an adult trying to live your best life, like you need to have a budget. You need to sort of get your finances in order and get that sort of tightened up. And if you don't, then like you're probably limiting yourself in other areas anyway. To me, that starts to get into like, well, what are you investing in? And it's like, no, I'm not talking about stocks. I'm not talking about bonds. I'm not talking about all that. Like, are you investing in new shoes? Are you investing in, new clothes? Are you investing in new cars, vacations? Or like, are you going to invest in yourself? Or like, things that your community people may be investing in, right? Like what, like other people's businesses, for example. And so like what I would tell you is if you don't have that in line, then you need to get it in line. And one of the first ways to do that is to actually work with Michaela. And intuitively, she'll probably help you figure that out, come to that logical conclusion yourself that like, hey, my house isn't in order financially, and it needs to be. And to me, a 1 month of membership mentorship can probably figure that out for you. I don't know, maybe not. But I would tell you it's not a crazy commitment for a 30-day period, and it's worth it in the long run because you're gonna ultimately come to the conclusion that you need to be making better investments in yourself, and with different thought patterns, I think you'll ultimately be able to like succeed after the fact. That makes sense?
Totally. Yeah. Like just being intentional with where you're putting your money.
Right.
And as long, I find that a lot of people really struggle with investing in themselves because maybe they don't see the value in themselves. Maybe they're really struggling with value.
Yeah.
And value is a byproduct is a feeling of how money makes us feel. So a little tangent here, but if we desire more money, if we desire financial freedom, we don't ever manifest what we want. We manifest how we feel. So, what is the byproduct? What is a feeling of being financially free, of having abundance in money? It is the feeling of being valued, of being powerful, of et cetera, whatever money makes you feel, right? So, as long
Serve.
as we can get
Serving.
in, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I cut you off. Serving too. Like, what are you ultimately serving? Are you serving the dollar bill that you just earned? Are you treating, not to make this too spiritual, right? But like I heard a very good sermon about this where, we as a society, like we use those dollar bills as a almost like a god, right? Like we value money, right? I mean, I think everybody in America would say that they value money, right? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
capitalism, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But money is a tool. Money is something that is to be used to do something with, right? You usually barter with it, you usually trade with it. So it's to your point about value, like what are you valuing in your life that you're ultimately using that for? If it's just like if you're valuing things, possessions, right? You're always gonna be empty because you can always level up your house. You can always add another 1,000 square feet. You can always buy a newer, bigger car. But then what, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the next
Mm-hmm.
what's the next step? You want to buy an airplane? You want to buy a jet? You know what I mean? Where does it end? So
Yeah.
if your value systems, if your priorities aren't straight, and you're valuing that dollar bill as as you're worshiping it because you crave it, you want it, you're ultimately you're setting yourself up for failure. So anyway, that was a tangent.
No,
But
I love that you shared that because it's so true. And just going back into, value and what it is that makes you feel valuable currently in your life. Like, does investing in yourself make you feel valuable? Like, yes, it does for
right,
me at least. I'm so that's kind of where I'm getting at. Just knowing that like you are worth it, you are worthy, and being able to invest in yourself and choosing to invest in yourself. And I'm not saying like I'm not trying to talk you away. If you don't feel called to work with me in any capacity, then don't. But if you do, then like this message is for you. But like you are worth it, you are valuable, and this investing in yourself is going to help you show up as a higher version of yourself for yourself most importantly, but also for your friends, for your family, for your kids, like the list goes on, right? You becoming a better person, a better version of yourself is only going to spread into all the areas in your life. So that's a little So if that gives you any encouragement to whatever you want to make happen, just make it happen. Whether that be working with me or whether that be booking a massage next week, like invest in yourself. Period.
Might do that now.
Um, yeah, you should. Okay, so last question I have for you, Trent. What would you say to someone who might be interested in working with me but has hesitancy?
Yeah, this was me. Um, Listen, I think everybody ultimately at some point in their life is going to have the maybe you've already had it and you're younger than I am and that's great, but you're gonna have that like, what am I supposed to do with my life kind of moment conversation. And I didn't really know. I still don't really know. We're still working on it, but it's a work in progress. But if you're hesitant about trying to kind of figure that out and you're trying to figure out what's your purpose, what's your highest self, that's where I think Michaela can really help you. And it's not really a there's no right answer for everybody, right? I think everybody's got a different path, everybody's got a different purpose. But what's interesting and what's unique about Michaela's work is that it is for everybody. She can benefit or she can help everybody because what she's doing is connecting you with yourself. She's connecting you to say, hey, navigate through all your negative thought patterns, navigate through all your traumas and your healing that you may or may not have gone through yet, and just go back to the source, God, Holy Spirit, and what do they want me to do? What am I called to do? What was I put here to do? And those are all sort of existential thoughts that are very hard to kind of grasp in the worldly environment we live in. But like Michaela does that. She can help intuitively read that and pull that out of you.
Mhm.
So if you're hesitating, it's pretty simple. Don't, right? But it's easy to say that and it's harder to actually do it. So I totally get it, and I've been there. But it's one of those things where you've got to get to the point in your life where you're really trying to figure out your purpose and maybe you're really stuck, and that's the right time.
Yeah. And being stuck, the thing is, and Trent knows this, is that you're never stuck. If you feel stuck, that's just because you've outgrown your current physical reality and it's time to move on to the next chapter.
Yep.
And as far as, something that Trent and I have worked on is as far as like your purpose in life goes, it's that you the pressure that society puts on us to have one thing and one thing only that we pick and we choose and we do the rest of our fucking lives, like that's something that I just do not believe in. I think that there are so many beautiful aspects and parts of us, and as we grow as souls, as humans, we become a different version of ourselves as time moves on. And what's important is to be doing whatever it is that makes you happy in this era of your life, in this time of your life. How long you do it for, may change, but ultimately, your purpose in life is to be happy, is to have a calm central nervous system, isn't to live in fear and scarcity and lack. It's to live in abundance and joy and gratitude for all that you have and to be able to live the life that you're living. Because, you guys, let me tell you something. I talk to souls all the time, and earth is a hot commodity. You have more of a chance of winning the lottery, or yeah, of winning the lottery than you do getting on earth and being able to live a life in a human body.
Hmm.
Period. Yeah. So be grateful for the fact that we are able to get to learn lessons, because every one of us, we all have a purpose of coming when we come down to earth to like live in our human form. our purpose is to live life and to learn lessons so that we can become higher frequency souls and then take that higher frequency soul into the next life and then into the next life and then into the next life, whatever that looks like for you. But that's our soul's purpose, is to gain lessons and to become a higher frequency version of us. So that's why I am so like, that's why what I do is getting you closer to becoming a higher frequency version of yourself, because I walk you through your traumas. I walk you through your shit. I walk you through your negative self talk. I fucking skyrocket your self image and your self love for yourself. And I help you remember who the fuck you are, because ultimately, you are so deserving of all it is that you desire in this life, period. There is no societal pressure that should make you feel any other type of way. And I just hope that this conversation that we've had today with Trent, and the questions that I've asked and he's answered, really, if you've been working or if you've been thinking about working with me and you've had any sort of hesitancy, that you just choose right now to jump in and or invest in yourself in some way, shape, or form to become a higher frequency version of yourself, because you are so deserving. Period. Bottom line. All right, but before we
Amen.
I love it. Before we close it off, I want to give Trent a opportunity to ask a question for me to intuitively channel for him specifically. You
Well,
have,
I did come up with one good question before we get there, if you want to, if we want to get in that too.
yeah, go ahead.
So I obviously listen to your pods, and we've been working together for a few months. So what would you say? I'm curious. Let me think of how to phrase this. What I ultimately want to ask is like, what do you notice, or what do you kind of see the differences between working with men and women in this sort of arena? I obviously know myself, and I know what we've talked about, and obviously I don't know what you talked about with other people, but I'm just kind of curious, like, for the larger, broader audience, maybe just compare and contrast working with men versus working with women and the soul to soul, higher power kind of stuff.
No, that's an amazing question. I love that you asked me that right now. Okay, so the the thing is, you're gonna be very surprised at this, but there's really not a lot of difference. The clients that I've had, I am noticing that I am solely attracting past versions of myself, and the my clients, they all are either going through or have gone through things that I have gone through in my past that I've already worked through. And it's honestly like one of the most beautiful experiences, and such like an amazing experience, because I've already had these transformations and I've gone through a lot of what my clients have gone through in the past. And so I'm able to take not only what I've gone through and how I navigated the trauma or the experience or whatever it may be, or needing to skyrocket my, like, learning how to love myself and learning how to see myself for all that I am and love myself wholeheartedly. Like, that was a huge transition for me and a huge transformation for me. So to be able to take my own personal life experiences, because I feel like I've lived like a million lives in this one life. I've been through so much. But to be able to take what I've experienced and what I've learned and to guide others through similar situations has been like so empowering. So honestly, like, the difference between men and women, it's like we all are souls. Like, our souls don't have a gender. It's just the fact that we're in this human vessel, and that's what the gender is. And
Right.
um the the thing is, like, we don't, like, there's no difference, like, truly, like, we all have the same issues, we all go through very similar things.
Yep.
And so yeah, that's my answer for you. It's like there might be little tweaks in like the words and the way that I say things for men versus women or for women versus men, But
Sure.
that's honestly with like anybody that I work with, I channel their higher self and I channel their, because we have multiple fields. We've got our soul field, we've got our EMF field, which is our electromagnetic field, and then we've got our higher self field, and then we have source field. And so it's like, what field am I tapping into to get the information that I need? How is this person I'm able to tap into their thought field, what their current thought patterns are that are negatively affecting them? I'm able to tap into your electromagnetic field and see what the energy is that you're putting off into the universe currently and how that's affecting you from getting from where you are now to where you want to be in your future. And then I'm also able to channel, source, of course, and get the most accurate information to where you are going in your future. But um yeah, like tying that all together, basically, like it's just me channeling specifically for each client and telling them what they need to hear and telling them it in a way that they need to hear it in order for it to click for them specifically in that moment. That way they leave the session with me with the most accurate information, one, and also can have those huge shifts for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's spot on. No, I wanted to ask that because I feel like, you know, the male population probably is the lagging. Not,
100%.
we look, we're stubborn. We have a lot of pride. So the more you can kind of push, like, hey guys, this is for everybody. It's not just for a certain type of person. Everybody goes through
Mhm.
this stuff.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to have you on because you're my only male client. So, and I love
Nice.
that for you.
Love that for
But
you.
I know I love it for me too. Yes, but yeah, I wanted to let everybody know. Like I said, I'm so happy that you asked that question because it's so important for, men to realize like this is for you as well. This is for everyone. It's not girly. It's literally it's the
Yeah, no.
shit. Like
Correct.
amazing. Okay, so do you have any more questions for me before we get into
No, that
your
was that was the only one I came up with on the moment.
Okay, well that was great. That was great. So, do you have a question that you'd like for me to intuitively channel?
I do. I do. Yeah.
Let's hear it.
So holiday season's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
The period of time in single people's lives other than Valentine's Day where it's, you get the loneliness, the singleness. So my question really is higher from my higher self. What should I be focusing on this holiday season? And should that be should I be pursuing people? Should I be going on trips with people? I've got a few opportunities for that. And so I'm kind of, you know, thinking about whether that's a good idea or not, or should I just try to this holiday season keep to myself slash, work on myself and remain in this space.
In
That makes
solitude.
sense? I don't know. Yeah, solitude.
Are you
There you go.
okay, well, first of all, like before you even said anything about vacations, like I saw that you are definitely like a vacation is in your future, like going on a trip, whether that be with a friend or yourself, like or a group of friends, whatever, like that's a big yes from your higher self, 100%.
Okay.
Um, as far as what to focus on, I'm seeing you staying focused like on your own. Like be focused on your own personal growth, on your journey. However, with that being said, do know that you like don't punish yourself. There's a part of you that's like still punishing yourself in a way of like, oh, like I can't talk to this person or I can't do this because I need to focus on myself. And it's almost like you're punishing yourself and that's
Fits
not
it
that's
fits the theme of my life.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we're not doing that. We need to stop. Because you don't deserve that. You deserve to be happy, and whatever it is that makes you happy in the moment is what's most important for you right now. So if you feel like going on a trip with somebody or with a group of people is what's going to make you happiest right now, then do it. But no, you don't need to be locked away in by yourself or closing yourself off just because of where you're at currently in your life. And I've had this conversation with you before, but like living your life with an open heart and being accepting to what it is that you are being offered from God, source, universe. But
Good
yeah,
one.
so that's what I'm seeing for you for sure. And also keep in mind, as far as like having an open heart goes, I'm anyone who comes into your life in the future, or maybe they're already here. Um,
Yeah, you already know what's going on. So
yeah, I do. I'm channeling it right now. Okay. I'm like seeing this and I'm like, how do I say this without like saying too much? So just know that like everyone comes into your life for a reason,
okay.
and you're it's like every chapter serves a purpose. That's like what's going to hit for you most right now. So just embracing where you're at, having fun, being happy, and taking things one step at a time. Like listen to your gut instinct, listen to that intuition, to that inner knowing. You
Yep.
ultimately know what's right. We've been working on this, like, so just trust that, and you're going to be a-okay, and everything will work out exactly the way it's supposed to.
Perfect. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course, my pleasure. I love it. Okay. So that is all we have for you today, you guys. Thank you so freaking much for taking the time to listen to this incredible podcast episode with my special guest and mentorship student, Trent. Um, if you have not already, please rate this podcast 5 stars, leave a rating and review. I appreciate it so much. It helps my podcast get into the hands of listeners that need to hear these messages that I am sharing with you guys. Um,
Smash
if
that
you're
like button.
I smash the like button. Yeah, if you're on YouTube, hit the like, subscribe. But also, so you guys know, I do have mentorship spots available. If you are interested, I'm going to go ahead and put the email below in the show notes so that you can shoot the team a message and they will get back to you so that you can apply to become a mentorship student if that is something you're interested in. Another thing that I have going on currently is promoting what's called the Glow Up. We are 2 weeks into the Awakening. The Awakening is a 4-week program that I have. It's my signature program. It's all about cultivating self-love, skyrocketing your self-image, and stepping into a more empowered version of yourself. That next second round will be released um, after the Glow Up, which is my 3-day free live event on Zoom. It is going to be in December, I believe the 12th. But I'll go ahead and put the link in the show notes for that as well so that you can get on the wait list so that you can get all the information needed and the Zoom link and all that good stuff for so that you don't miss the Glow Up. And yeah, that is, I think, all that I've got going on for you today. Thank you so much, Trent, for being here and being a part of the podcast and
Of
taking the time
course.
out of your day for this. I appreciate you so much.
Always. And feel free to link my information to the pod if you want somebody to reach out to
Yeah,
me. Guys, reach out to me. Happy to connect, happy to talk. Happy to
absolutely. I'll put
push you
Trent's
towards Mikaela.
Instagram in the show notes below as well, so that if you guys want to peep him, then you can.
Right on. Awesome.
Amazing. All right, guys, everybody, have an incredible day, night, morning, whatever it is for you. Make it a great one. I love you, and we'll chat soon.
Ciao.
Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this resonated with you, please make sure you leave a rating and review. Like and subscribe if you are watching on YouTube. Make sure you follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Kaela Cakes, at KAELA_CAKES. Visit my website at MikaelaRyanFalar.com to find out more about my coaching services. All of these links are in the show notes below. Make sure you tune in for next week's episode. New episodes are out every Tuesday and Friday. Chat soon.